This episode of D-News is brought to you by Bloom. This may be a bit of no-duh science, but gals, science says that you are just as good as guys. Yay! Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Trace here for D-News. There is a lot of underlying cultural interplay between men and women. The pay equality gap is just one example, but it's kind of a big, visible one. A study out of Stanford in 1998 asked women and men to write an article, and then later asked how much they would pay themselves for the equal work. Women routinely asked for 18% less than the men, not because they wanted less money, but because they didn't compare their rates to the male rates, but only to their fellow women. This was compounded by already existing pay gaps that meant the women's rates were lower to start. But the problem is systemic. This might be starting to change, though. A meta-analysis in the Journal of Applied Psychology studied tens of thousands of leaders across a barrage of scientific papers and found that men and women are rated equally as effective leaders. Equally. As long as you don't actually ask them to rate themselves. They found that when you ask a good leader to rate themselves, men tend to think that they are extremely effective, and women thought of themselves as less so. However, when other people were doing the assessment, both men and women were rated about the same. The researchers believe the difference is the globalization and modernization of the workforce. Women are more likely to be in the positions of power, and they're pretty much crushing it. Of course, if you really look back, you probably already knew this was coming. When I was in elementary school, everyone knew that the girls were smarter. We just knew it. And another study in Psychological Bulletin analyzed the grades of boys versus girls from 1914 to 2011 in 30 countries and found that girls actually did better in math and science for that entire century. The scientists who did the study were pretty shocked. They think somehow we all just weren't looking at the data and instead assumed that boys were better at math and science because there were more boys in those fields as adults. So if women are equally good leaders, they're better in school, they're better at graduating from high school and college in record numbers, why is there still inequality in the workplace? Tell us your thoughts on equality, leadership, and the future down below. I know that's kind of a tall order, but I think you guys can handle it, and gals. Probably say both. Speaking of tall orders, what about being a mom? Baby stuff is weird and difficult for some people to wrap their heads around, so Bloom does it for you. Not literally, you know, they know about that soft spot in your baby's head, so they're not gonna wrap. Anyway, Bloom is a box subscription service tailored to the age, sex, and development of your little bundle of joy. They deliver boxes of bath and body stuff, toys, food, clothing, you name it, right to your door. Why fight the crowds and go to the mall to compete with the double-wide off-road strollers when you can have it shopped and sent right to you? Go to bloom.com/dnews and use the code REV3 for half off your first month and discounts for longer subscriptions. Plus, it supports the show. Thanks for watching D-News. See you later, everybody.